I believe that we are the only sports show in America, maybe the world, maybe not just sports, proudly broadcasting a human being's descent. Greg Cody, never more so than yesterday when Greg Cody had a legendarily bad performance. But do you know where he started today while complaining that he's lost his voice as?
Where?
He started today by saying to his son, I thought we started at 8:58.
We used to.
No, we've always, Greg, I cannot tell you. This might explain why you're always late.
I don't think he's ever really understood the concept of the shadow show. But then again, neither is Dan. He thinks that the podcast audience can't hear it. And we always include it.
I'm always late.
I don't understand the shadow show, or everyone here doesn't understand what I'm trying to do with the shadow show. Oh, I don't understand it. Okay.
Shadow
show. You were saying, Greg?
Show. Did you say I was always late? Who was in the studio first the last couple of days, me or you?
This guy is flexing off.
I walked in with Greg.
Spring break traffic 1 week, and he thinks he's just got it figured out. He's leaving at the same exact time. He's like, hey, I'm here earlier.
Early bird getting the worm, and you're sleeping in.
Your computer made a dinging sound. You owe $5 at the fine bucket because your computer isn't ready, but you weren't expecting the show to start for a couple minutes. So that's
so we negate that fine.
But how do you know? How do you not?
No, Greg's right.
How do you not know when we start? How is it possible that you don't know when we start? When we've been starting at this time for a couple of years now.
Okay, who starts anything at 8:55?
It's a fair question.
Round it up to 9.
You know what? That is a fair question. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Who starts anything at 8:55?
Tea times. Outside of tea times, I don't know what else. Yeah.
I mean, it's really not like if you know anything about radio, and I know this isn't exactly radio, but if you know anything about radio, starting at 8:55 makes a lot of sense.
Why is that?
Because other shows, other things start at 9. You have a heads up, and people aren't going to leave your show 5 minutes in to go catch the start of another show. They're already listening to you.
Look at the big radio brain on Zaz.
Wow. How about that?
Big ad brain.
It is funny to hear Zaslow say to Cody, of all people, if you know anything about radio. He doesn't know anything about radio.
Famously.
You mentioned tea times. Is it true? Is the rumor true that Roy showed up at a golf course wearing jeans?
That's not embargoed.
No, that can't be.
Roy did wear jeans.
Wow. They were pants.
No,
I think there's a debate here.
All right. So it had the jean nipple pockets.
Oh yeah, you know that nipple on the side.
You know, like the little
hip
buttons,
nipple,
the
little button
nipple
on the side.
What is it for?
The pocket
Just
ribbit.
to be able to look from afar and be like, oh look,
those are jeans. And so like Roy walked in conventional jeans made of denim today. I'm like, hey Roy, you're wearing your golf pants.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Can you wear jeans to the golf course? Yes or no? And also put it on the poll. Do you know what that nipple on the side of the jeans is for? Purdue was a number 1 seed as
Kirk Cousins look like JCPenney.
Looks like it's back, Jack. It's bracket time, so make a chart. Does Jeff Van Gundy look just like the Queen of Hearts? Does Adam Silver look like a torpedo bat? Let's get Mark Sadness back on track. Looks like it's back, Jack. When the donuts are in front of you, does Andy Reid say, don't mind if I do? Adam Silver looks like a Q-tip thing, or frying a bag of onion rings. When Timmy laughs until he hacks, that's how you know that looks like his back, Jack. Let me hear you say, looks like his back, Jack. Let's keep on doing it every year. So add advert says Mr. Bond, welcome to Tangier. Jeff Fisher looks like shotgunning beers at a NASCAR track. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Looks like his back, Jack.
Northwestern is gone from the tournament.
Jim Harbaugh looks like a casket salesman.
Fairleigh Dickinson, 16 seed, repped by
Mike McDaniel looked like a college student on a full ride scholarship for esports.
What a run.
Looks like he's back, Jack.
Over the years, you guys have heard me nominate an assortment of headlines for single strangest headline in the history of ESPN.com. But I believe I have in front of me the winner. And while you guys might not remember any of the others, I just want to hear from you whether you think this is a worthy candidate for weirdest headline ESPN.com Hall of Fame. Quadruple amputee cornhole player fatally shoots man. We're not going to do any better than that.
And then
right?
he drove away.
In terms of weird. Now, it's not worthy of, put it on the poll, is cornhole a sport? It's not. They just wanted to write that headline. There's no circumstance in which cornhole is going to get into the ESPN.com headlines except for this. This is the only circumstance that would allow cornhole to be involved with ESPN.com headlines.
Dan, this has been the biggest thing on the internet for the last 24 to 48 hours. This guy, who has no arms and legs, shot a gun, but there's video of him shooting a gun.
We should get that video because I've got more questions than answers on
I don't know if he can answer any questions
on this headline. Thank you, Tony. I don't know whether his lawyer would advise him to answer any questions, but you start with quadruple amputee, then you go cornhole player, then fatally shoots man. I want to know if it was a cornhole dispute. I've got nothing but questions. I don't have answers, but I want to follow this mystery wherever it is that it ends up.
I love the fact that there were 4 guys in the car and the one with no arms and legs was driving. That's my favorite part of that story. Shouldn't he be the guy in the back?
That's your favorite part of
Yes.
this story?
I don't care that he's a cornhole champion. Apparently he had stubs and he held the gun with
Lean
his
back.
stubs.
Yeah, lean back further.
Be
I
easy,
mean,
can we
careful.
say Stubbs?
I don't think I don't think Stubbs is okay.
We've covered this.
But I've argued that Nubs is dangerous as well. I
You
don't
be careful too.
I don't know what to. I don't know
Do you have
what.
stubs on your feet or just on your arms?
Sending an email.
That's a good question.
I don't know the answer to some of the questions.
should
Where
call
Please
up
email
Daniels.
HR.
Call up Daniel Stubbs, former UM player.
you don't even have the breath and voice left to make the terrible joke. Like
It's
you
not a
petered out.
terrible joke.
Daniel Stubbs.
Canes fans are out there nodding. Yeah, I remember him. Pretty good DE.
Dana Stubblefield.
There you go. Dana Stubblefield. Roy's catching on.
What about Dana Stubblefield? We're now doing Stubbs. Now that's what we're doing.
I'm trying to help my guy out here.
Please don't. Before the show, Chris Cody said to his father, "What do you think? 20, 30 carries today?" And then Greg said, "I'm going to catch a couple of balls out of the backfield," and and didn't know the word for targets.
Yeah, he's like, throw me 4 times. It's like, you mean targets?
Well, that's a made-up word in football, targets. Come on. What are we playing, archery?
Since
Targets.
you brought us to
Every word is made up.
Since you brought us to football, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is every word made up? It's a good point.
So on and
It's
so
a
forth.
rare Chris Cody logic that works out.
Yeah, every word is made up. Like at one point, every word has a birth point, and before that, it wasn't a word.
Tony was so jealous Chris Cody came up with that
Yeah,
point.
it is true. Every word is made up. I want to talk about Tua going in Atlanta, doing his first press, and I want to talk about what Adam Schefter said about the Miami Dolphins' plans. And it's just super rare to see a professional football team in the coupon discount bin the way the Dolphins are. They're going to do it with minimum salaried players more than any in the league. That is the plan as they fumigate the building more than it's ever been fumigated. But here's Tua introducing himself to the Atlanta press.
With your teammates. Can you just give us some insight into, what it was like last season in Miami and how that might have shaped the season that you had?
Yeah. I don't want to get too much in depth with things that were going on more so in terms of players to coaches than it was players to players. But it was unique in a sense. It was unique.
Unique in what way?
In a lot of ways.
We'll go to Terrence Moore.
It's a good follow-up from the reporter. Tua not looking at the people interviewing him doesn't come off great there.
No.
I think people would be surprised. I'll get to this, more of the analysis of this sound in a second. But I think people would be surprised at how often human beings who are professionals, who have gotten to professional football, have disagreements with their coaches that are bad. There's a famous Steven Jackson story. You guys can look this up for me if you don't remember the running back, Steven Jackson. He ran angry, came into the locker room at halftime one time, was furious with his offensive line coach and his offensive lineman, and went to the offensive line coach and said, you better get these guys to start blocking. And the coach said, I'm not doing anything. And so he charges at the coach, and the center gets in the way of Steven Jackson with his offensive lineman. Steven Jackson knocks the center out in the locker room at halftime. He falls into his other offensive lineman like bowling pins, and no one did shit. No one did anything because Steven Jackson was terrifying. But I think people would be surprised how often players and coaches clash in ways that are meaningful. And obviously, Tua blames the coaching staff for leaving him on an island at the end to take the blame.
Yeah, I think he comes off terrible in the clip. I think it's another clip that you can add of him coming off terrible in front of cameras over the last really couple of years. Why is that the case? I don't know. We could certainly speculate. But it also bothers me where I feel like anytime, and by the way, where he says, we're not talking player to player, player to coach. Tua, pal, you're the one who got up in front of the cameras before a game and talked about players being late to meetings and not being accountable. Like, you're the one who put that out there if you want to talk about player to player, player to coach. I just feel like anytime he's asked about the Miami Dolphins, because when his contract was going into the final year, everyone outside of Miami was saying, you can't pay this guy. The Dolphins paid him. Everyone else ended up being right about you can't pay this guy. And I just feel like every time that Tua's asked about the Dolphins, he should be incredibly gracious to the organization.
I agree 100% with that. Like, nobody would have given that to him on the open market. But to me, this video is super benign. He's doing a press conference on Zoom with like a bunch of reporters he doesn't know. He's probably sitting out in some rental like apartment. He's looking out at like a parking lot, and he's like, all right, so this is where my life is now. I'm answering questions as the maybe backup to a guy who has no knees. And like, everybody's talking about his mannerisms and stuff. He just looks like a guy who's answering questions he doesn't want to be answered.
Every market other than ours, this is a nothing burger. Like that sound clip we
That's
just
only
played.
because we know him.
But it's just like, I feel like we are the scorn lover overreacting to this.
Well, first of all, remember when he got that big contract that he arguably didn't deserve?
Show me the money.
Show me the money. At the first practice.
So off-putting.
So off-putting to a lot of people, including teammates, I would imagine. And in this case, I agree with Tony. It's so bizarre. You're a quarterback competing for the number one job, and your introductory press conference is not in person. It's on Zoom. So ridiculous. And the other thing he said in that press conference, this is the NDH headline, the no duh headline. I have to play better if I'm going to compete for the starting job. Well, no duh. He had such a terrible season last year. He's lucky to have a job at all right now. And yeah, just a total disaster, that press
You've
conference.
been riding for Tua for a long time, and now you're just burying him in air quotes that are put in the wrong places, in a bunch of different wrong places. You've been using the air quotes a lot lately, right. And you were really supportive of Tua, loudly supportive of Tua, and now you're hurt. Now this is scorn lover bullshit that you guys are doing. It's not a press conference, it's a Zoom, and it is a bad way to introduce yourself to your new fans, but he's just not answering questions the way quarterbacks don't answer questions. Like, what's the good way to answer that question? It's just with gratitude? Like, because I don't think he's grateful. I think that at the end they left him out there to be maximum scapegoat on a bunch of different stuff as the entire team fell apart and his number one receiver was sent to the hospital with a cracked in half leg.
Well, isn't he only a scapegoat because he played terrible? Like, they didn't leave him out anywhere. Like
No, I mean left him out to take the blame for all organizational failure. He was the last thing standing at the end after they got rid of everyone else. There wasn't anyone else to care about. There wasn't anyone else to blame. He was the last one standing.
That's what the money's for.
That's correct.
You get that 60 mil for that blame.
Look, he was a 6-year starting quarterback who was unceremoniously benched for a 7th-round draft pick. There would have been nothing wrong with him saying, and I wish he had, something to the effect, I didn't think I should have been benched. I think they made me a scapegoat. I would have loved to have heard him say that. Instead of saying, oh, there was a lot going on, but I don't want to talk about it. That's the worst thing he can say.
Chris Cody's got the hot hand
Yeah,
today.
I'm cooking right now.
I think the show works through this Cody today because, I mean, have you heard these takes?
You need any takes on anything? Mine.
He wasn't benched for a 7th-round pick. He was benched for let's not get him injured here. He wasn't benched because anyone thought the backup was better. That's not why he was benched. He was benched because it was all over because everything around him had failed and created a situation for the Dolphins that has no precedent in the history of this market. For a team to just strip it down to the bare minimum. Let's listen to Adam Schefter here explain to you, and Jeff Hafley will be through here to do a South Beach session. I'd like to get to know the coach a little bit, and this stuff matters, okay? I think the fairest criticism of Tua, that's not how you present to your fan base when you're the face and voice of a new team, or possibly the face and voice of a new team at quarterback. You've got to pay attention, at least some, to the optics. Like, the Miami Dolphins don't have to drag their coach down here, except the present predicament puts them in a position where this leadership group needs to have some faith from its customer base. And part of the reason that this coach is coming here is because they want him known because they don't have any players who are known. Like, this is going to be the hood ornament on the front of the franchise now, because listen to Adam Schefter talk about what the Dolphins are doing and why.
The Dolphins have over $175 million in dead cap money. So we're talking about a team that's basically has $133 million against the salary cap to go spend this year. The composition of their roster, it's just way different. They have 43 players next year who are signed for the minimum wage. The next highest in the league is 31. We've never seen a team ever try to do what the Dolphins are about to try to do. You might as well tear it down and start from the ground up. That's why, to me, I would have called on Devon, and if I were the Dolphins, I'd trade him too. Everybody's for sale.
So is it safe to assume then that Jeff Hafley and John Eric Sullivan got assurances from Stephen Ross?
Yes. That patience lasts only so long. So I don't know whether if it's in year 3, people start asking questions, or year 4, but at some point, they're going to have to show progress on this roster, or else.
This is what has happened here. Stephen Ross is coming out of a bathroom, waving his hand in front of his nose, and going, John Eric Sullivan, Hafley, get in there. It's terrible in there. Get in there and fix that. Do whatever it is you need to do. 43 players at the minimum? That's lunacy. That's lunacy. You can't win. That means you're paying real money to half of your starters. Half, 12, not all of them. Half of your starters are going to be minimum guys based on the current roster construction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of that's the residue of the Tua contract that continues to be an albatross for their whole design. But yet, they spent fairly big for the position, fairly big, to sign the best free agent quarterback. That's what's at odds here. Okay, if you're going to go all bare bones and you're going to tank, I don't think you sign Malik Willis.
You got to meet the salary floor. You've got to give that money to somebody. That's not big money. That's just, hey, get this cleaned up in 2 years. Get this. That's 2 years of guarantees for Willis on you'll work out or you won't work out. These guys have 2 years to fix this and show progress. But the way that they're doing it strips it down because I think this part cannot be overstated, okay? It's simply not possible to win in the NFL at all. The Dolphins over-under is 4.5 this year. 4.5. It is not possible to win in the NFL when you have $99 million in cap money that you're paying a quarterback to play somewhere else. No team can overcome that. No management team, no brilliance, no players. It can't be overcome. That's a third of your salary cap.
And with the 43 players, getting the league minimum, basically, this is not a way of Moneyball where we're going to try and pay little to no money for guys that are really good. And we're just going to kind of put them in spots.
Does that even exist in football?
Probably not. But the way that you look at it, it's like this could be substantially worse than the year that Dominique said that they needed to arrest whoever was on the roster for how bad the team was, eternally bad or whatever he called it. Like, this could be worse.
I believe Dominique is furious at me for the ways that I have misrepresented his point, saying the Dolphins were unethical. You have upped the stakes by saying the Dolphins should have been prosecuted and arrested.
Players. He said players should have been arrested.
Yeah, front office. Players are doing their job.
There is a model for this, but it's not a very good one. The New Orleans Saints were in cap hell, and they tried to do what they could with their roster, and I think they're finally out of it.
How about the Broncos?
The Broncos had a bad contract to get out of, but nobody's had this kind of contract, the 201.
This is the most.
So, yeah, but it is a Moneyball-like strategy. They're going to go with, draft picks and undrafted free agents.
The Moneyball strategy is finding the value and trying to win with that. The Dolphins know they're not going to win like this.
I don't know. I think they're going to try to win with their roster, see what they have, and then, they'll take the temperature of the season, and then it'll probably go in one direction.
Like with the Athletics and Moneyball, like Billy Beane very famously felt this team is going to win. There's no way John Eric Sullivan thinks this team's going to win.
There's no such thing as Moneyball outside of baseball. Baseball doesn't have a salary cap, so you can go ahead and figure out inefficiencies and cheap play and value in ways
Being myopic, it exists in soccer.
Much harder than I was just doing the
happy opening week.
4 major sports
It's the biggest sport in the world.
In America is what I was doing.
Myopia.
And the salary cap, Moneyball, I'm going to say it again. There are no human beings who have ever lived who can immediately fix something that wastes a third of its money giving it to a player who's not going to play for you. You can't make that kind of mistake at that position and overcome it in a sport where the greatest advantage is having value at that position. Mm-hmm. You've got historic lack of value. The Dolphins, like record-breaking inefficiency that the Dolphins are trying to overcome there, and it puts them in a position that's rather literally unwinnable. So I want to move from that, though, to what happened yesterday. If you were listening last week to our college basketball expert and taking his picks, he was great at his picks. He did great with his picks. But he told us that Hubert Davis wasn't going to be fired, that he wasn't on any kind of hot seat. And that right there isn't the premier job in America, but I think it's second in college basketball. Do I have this wrong?
Well, how do you define the premier job? Because that makes it sound like if it were the premier job or second, like, does that mean anyone who's offered the job would take it?
I'm saying it's prestige. I'm saying Duke, North Carolina is 1-2 for me in terms of what is the prestige job, because the people who have come before you are Roy Williams and Dean Smith. And when you get that job, you're following icons of the sport. But the domino effect that this is going to have, who is considered the favorite for that job? Because I was surprised that people weren't mentioning Jay Lucas as a possibility for that job, probably because he's too young, 1 year of experience. And when Billy Donovan is somebody you're throwing out there as a possibility, then you're talking about somebody who's, top of the food chain.
So, number one, I do think Billy Donovan's going to get that job. I think it's going to be Billy Donovan. But as far as betting...
If Golden goes to North Carolina, you think Billy Donovan might be tempted at all for Florida?
That'd be so awesome. But as far as the betting odds go, the last I saw, Todd Golden has the shortest odds, 3-1. Todd Golden. But I would be surprised, though, if Todd Golden takes that job. And I'm looking up and down the list. You know whose name is not on the list for any odds? Jay Lucas.
Right.
He's not even on the odds.
This is where our centrally focused Miami homerism probably
maybe
is a little bit overstated in the landscape of the college basketball world, because, a job like North Carolina, they're going to look at a few names before Jay Lucas. Todd Golden's won a national title at Florida. if you're in the position to like shoot for the moon, there are names that come on that list before Jay Lucas, probably a dozen.
I also mentioned when we were talking about this last week and the potential job opening up at UNC, which of course it did yesterday, and would they look at Jay Lucas? And I told you, like, I don't think UNC can't hire a coach who not has been a coach at a Power 4 school for 1 year, but has been a head coach for 1 year. Like, that can't be the coach of UNC.
The one that I want is Billy Donovan to go to North Carolina, just because if Golden leaves or or Oates leaves Alabama, then you start having the coaching carousel, dominoes start falling, and then you have these like tier 2 jobs that will look at a guy like Jay Lucas more seriously.
I think it's going to be Billy. If it is Billy, does he have to step down like before the NBA season ends? Because UNC can't wait around for another month,
his NBA season has ended. His NBA season is over. Billy Donovan going back to college is interesting. Since I mentioned Jeff Hafley before, the way that he talks about wanting to go to college to teach. He was the head coach at Boston College, wanting to go to teach and realizing how quickly his job became 0% about coaching. If I'm Billy Donovan, I don't want to go back to the present landscape of chasing around 17-year-olds and trying to convince their families that the amount of money that they're giving is the correct amount of money. There is nothing more important right now in college basketball than money. It's not a coach's persuasive charms on how he's going to raise your kid for you.
Well, I'm curious to hear Greg's thoughts here, because we haven't talked about he hasn't done the moratorium on the in memoriam on Miami's basketball season yet, and I'm curious your thoughts on the whole Jay Lucas situation.
I think you got the word wrong twice. What is it?
In memoriam.
Oh, in memoriam.
Corrected myself.
Okay, obituary. We're giving an obituary here.
That's a word.
Eulogy? Would eulogy be better?
That would have been good too. All of them would have been better than my first stab at it.
Eulogy would be good.
All right, guys, we're getting bogged down here.
Jay Lucas should get Coach of the Year votes for the way he turned around that team. And the money's what drove the money thing you're talking about, the portal, the NIL. That's what drove Larrañaga into retirement very awkwardly. And so I would not want to be a college coach in today's landscape. Jay Lucas obviously had a flawed team, right? He had no depth. They couldn't shoot threes. If they could shoot threes, they might be playing tomorrow or Friday. But Jay Lucas did a great job. He's young. And I agree, we're a little myopic with him down here because we think, look at the turnaround.
Well, but wait a minute.
He's too young.
You say a little myopic. I mean, it's the best turnaround in the history of college basketball, and it's the biggest, obviously, if it's that. It's the biggest that there was in the sport this year when it goes like that will get anybody's attention when you come in and you start with the team was 7-24.
Right. Great turnaround. Coach of the
not
Year
great turnaround. The best turnaround there's been. Not great turnaround. The best we've ever seen. Like, that will immediately make you a head coaching candidate. I don't think that's myopia. I think anybody who does that would get the world's attention.
I think if you're North Carolina, the bluest of the blue bloods, and you have your choice of coaches, including guys who have won national championships, you don't go to Jay Lucas right now.
I think all of that is overstated in the modern age. I believe Billy Donovan will get back to college basketball and will feel left behind by how they're doing things now versus how they were doing them when he could get Joakim Noah and Al Horford to play next to each other.
You know, in the 2012-13 season, Towson had what was previously the best turnaround in men's basketball history. Their coach was Pat Scarry. He is still their coach. They hung a banner in their arena for the greatest single-season turnaround. Miami should do the same thing.
Yeah, I like that. But Dan's absolutely right. Jay's still a little wet behind the ears. Needs a little bit more experience, I think. You know, this is let this bake a little bit. It was just a 1 year. Maybe he's a 1 year wonder.
Did you take that serious? What Jeremy just said?
Didn't you hear what he just said?
I was trying
Did
to
you
troll.
not notice that all he's doing is trying to make sure that Jay Lucas stays at Miami?
But Mike did agree to the banner there. I don't even know if he knew what he was
I think that was
agreeing to.
just like he's listening, waiting for me to finish so that he could do his troll after I did my troll.
Like you just said he won a banner for most improved
Yeah,
season.
that's fine. It's great.
No,
Put
dumb
it
banner.
right next to the gigantic Final Four banner that we have that is so outsized compared to all the other ones.
I'm curious to put this before the group because I think what you guys are doing to college basketball is not something you would do to college football. If I told you that a first-year coach had just turned whatever college football program, let's make it Indiana. Let's make it Indiana.
But he'd been a head coach before.
Okay, but let's make it Indiana. Let's not make it exactly Cignetti, but let's make it somebody who in 1 year, Jay Lucas didn't do what Cignetti did, but in 1 year, everybody was talking about, can you believe that they had the biggest turnaround in the history of the sport? To the degree we always give these guys way too much credit for having some sort of acumen that 100 other guys don't have, because we love to do that. We'll take the results and we'll just take somebody and make them the next Belichick because it's like that person knows a lot more than these 100 other people. But when this happens, when the results are this obvious in a results-based business, that person should skyrocket at his age to the top of your list. But he does look like a child. And
that's a great point.
I want to remind the rest of you that when Hubert Davis was hired for that job, he didn't exactly have the qualifications for what it is. The last time they hired a coach, they didn't go for the best candidate they possibly could have gotten. They went for somebody who had ties that they liked.
Right, but if I'm put yourself in the shoes of a North Carolina fan, Jay Lucas is a fine plan G, right? I'm North Carolina. I want a guy that
Plan high.
I want a guy that's won a national title. I want a name that sizzles. I want name recognition.
You know who you can get who's won a national title? He's available. Hubert Davis. You can get him if you want him.
Well, he made it a Final Four. I don't know why I became ultra Italian.
With
he
Roy
made
Williams,
it a Final
guys.
Four.
Who made it the Final
He
Four?
made it a Final Four. No, I think Jay Lucas is a fine candidate. And in a couple of years, he can be looked at a little bit more seriously. But come on, this is North Carolina. There's like in that sport, there's Kentucky, there's Kansas, there's Duke, there's North Carolina, like pristine jobs. You're looking at guys in the NBA. You're looking at guys that have won national titles. You're looking at proven commodities.
And if you're North Carolina fans, do you want a guy from Duke? That's another factor that I think goes against them being interested in Jay Lucas.
After consulting with HR, it's residual limb.
So Providence coach Brian Hodgson, he was introduced yesterday, and this joke sounded familiar. It worked better the second time. This is his move at press conferences, and he was asked about the recruiting. How good are you going to be at recruiting? And this was his line, and it went over very well.
I want to thank my family. Steve talked about it. My better half, my beautiful spouse here, Jordan, my son Jet, who you'll hear plenty throughout this speech. If you ever want to question my recruiting abilities, just take a look at my wife, Jordan.
That is an unusual amount of applause to get for that joke. It's a joke a lot of coaches use. It's not a great joke, but it's a this coach used when he was introduced at USF and got, this was a year ago, and it didn't get applause, and he went right back to it.
If you have any questions at all about my ability to recruit, look no further than my beautiful fiance. The best recruiting job of my life.
Crickets.
He did the finger point. He did everything.
He did the
Come on,
exact
man.
motion.
You can't do this. You can't do the same joke the same way and have it kill like that.
Dan, come on. You know especially you got to work the clubs. You worked the smaller club at USF, didn't get the laugh.
But the same finger gun motion.
You're in Tampa.
To his
Yeah,
wife.
you got to practice exactly what it is. You worked it in Tampa, didn't work. You work it in Providence, good
He's
comedy town. All of a sudden, people left. There's like 30,000 people at Providence
It's
Stadium.
going to be so great when he does this next year at his next press conference.
People say Tampa is a good comedy town.
Is this a juxtaposition of how good-looking people are in these prospective towns? Like maybe in Tampa, they just weren't that impressed.
Ooh.
I think Jordan, his wife, is tired of that whole act.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
You know it.
Like from year to year, and the first time there's the finger point, and he immediately, when he realizes there's no applause and no laughter, he follows up with a second line, like, it's the best thing that's ever happened in my life, because he realizes this isn't playing. And the second time, the reason he starts clapping for himself is because he gets cut off before the second line with giant laughter and applause. It had to feel so good.
If he moves on again next year, you do it again. Yeah. You just keep this train rolling.
Go from fiance to wife to maybe ex-wife.
Oh, he's totally going to do it when Jay Lucas leaves and he's down here, and we're going to be like, yeah! We're
going to laugh so hard.
Easy. Jay Lucas definitely needs a couple more seasons to prove to the nation he's got it.
The last couple of days, I have run into people who are muttering under their breath, okay? A couple days ago at Fresh Market, I'm just sort of leaning into the produce, and there is a guy there who I just hear saying over and over again, accurately, everything's double. And he's talking to himself like he does it. Like I'm coming in, he was just totally talking to himself. Today, I walk in, and you know who was singing to themselves a Dave Dameshek song? Roy Bellamy. Roy Bellamy was singing a Dameshek song I had not heard as Dameshek continues to infringe on Greg Cody's territory and threaten Greg Cody because he does Back in My Dave, and he voiced the tournament, and he's doing some of the things Cody usually does around here. The songs are Greg Cody's pride and joy. He's the singing sports writer.
Yeah,
he invented the
that.
song.
Yeah.
He invented the song on this show. What was the Dameshek song that you were singing, Roy? Can you give me a rendition, and can you tell me its origins?
There is no origins. I just completely make up songs from time to time. Like, hey, I got bacon in my hand, that sort of thing, you know. I completely forget how I sang the song.
Best musical performance.
That's a good song.
Roy walks in the morning, and he's just singing, I got bacon in my hand, and I haven't seen it, but I've heard.
Oh, Dan was there for that.
So I thought that this was a song that appeared on the show on Friday. I thought there was a reason for the song. You were just Roy was singing a Dave Dameshek song, and I was just really confused. There was no reason for it. It was
no. Bob had said Dave Dameshek's name, and then all of a sudden, boom! I said, Bob, our engineer.
Let's go to Bob.
Go to Bob.
You mean Robert?
I've been calling him.
Do not call him.
No
one call him Bob.
There's one Bob.
It's Robertico.
There's one Bob.
Yeah.
So that's a Dameshek song, or it isn't?
I'm confused, too, Dad.
I was confused. I thought
I think
it was
it's a Roy song now.
Look, I think everyone in the room is the information I just shared with all of you.
Oh, no, Roy's singing? That's odd.
Under his breath, the song he just made up about Dave Dameshek. This is a shocking bit of information I've shared with the community, is it not?
It is weird, yes, and I'm the one that sang it, so yes. It's
all right,
weird.
was this a bacon song or a Dameshek
Is
song?
the bacon thing, you just made that up right now?
This show's
Yes.
moving too fast.
Okay, so you made up the bacon one on the spot.
So
Yes,
you were
that's an
singing.
example.
So what were you singing about Dameshek?
So out there, you're like Dameshek.
I was just saying exactly. I was saying his name in
What?
song form.
So why wouldn't you say that why'd you say bacon?
Made up. I got bacon in my
Why'd
hand.
you wear jeans to golf?
It was pants. It was stretchy pants.
It wasn't denim. I'm
They
looking at it.
had
not
the
denim.
jean nipples.
Everyone says they were jeans, Roy.
When you felt them, they weren't. They just looked like jeans, and they had the nipple.
But they were IG jeans. IGeans, if you will. We looked them up. They're jeans.
Maybe it was a hybrid. You ever thought about that?
Yes, but a hybrid that was made to look like jeans.
Like a jegging.
Look
Self-driving
like
jeans.
but also be comfortable enough for you can roundhouse kick.
I've seen those on Instagram.
Yeah, Joe Rogan got me a pair of jeans once.
I'd like to revisit something that happened yesterday that I'm still confused by. Zaslow, what is your appraisal as we talk right now of Greg Cody's familiarity with the movie Scarface?
I got to tell you, we didn't spend enough time on that yesterday. It's shocking that you've never seen Scarface. Now, look, maybe this you could point at parenting if you want, but I saw Scarface for the first time. I was probably like 8 or 9 years old. Have you not seen Scarface?
You bragging or complaining?
No. It's a fantastic movie.
Okay.
How,
The accent, though, is renowned for being awful.
Who cares? He's great in the movie. It's an iconic character.
How can he be great in the movie if all people do is make fun of his awful Cuban accent?
He's an iconic character, Tony Montana. Movie is incredible. There's so many lines that you recite. You got big stars, or actors and actors who turned into big stars. Whoever says you was a cop? I mean, come on. This is an incredible
He's got a Cuban
movie.
pass. He's allowed to be Cuban. He and Razor Ramon, the only people that aren't Cuban that are allowed to be considered Cuban canon.
Well, Greg doesn't know movies, but when I think of Scarface, the first, almost the only thing I think of is how vilified and mocked he was for his accent.
You think that's the overriding theme from that movie?
Yes, and I think most people would agree with me.
That's not Greg. That you've never been this wrong.
I doubt that.
You think
you're a nuts man?
I could come.
He goes, I doubt that.
I could come closer to arguing that is Al Pacino's most famous role than I can to arguing that what Al Pacino is known for is culturally appropriating a bad accent in Scarface.
Right.
That's only Cubans who care about that. And if you've not been watching the news lately, nobody cares what Cubans think about anything.
We love Scarface.
It is his most famous movie, but notoriously so.
Jeremy had the finish.
I don't think that character has legs.
Hey!
Best F1 minutes with Jessica Spatano.
After a blank space on the calendar, Formula One is back in Azerbaijan despite its reputation for tight corners and narrow roads. F1 is putting a sprint race in Baku. On Saturday, Charles Leclerc is fearless in pole position as the sprint begins. But at the start, London boy George Russell delivers some karma to Max Verstappen, making him a move to push him wide. Max is red, but George says, don't blame me. Number 22, Yuki Tsunoda, clips the wall and loses a tire after just 2 laps. At the restart, Sergio Perez has a lead with 5 laps left. It's time to go. Checo wins the sprint race, but Max and George have bad blood when the race ends. You guys see what I'm doing yet? Will there be vigilante shit on Sunday?
This
Max,
is amazing.
You need to calm down because it's lights out and away we go in Baku. Sparks fly, and Verstappen is driving like he's in a getaway car and pulls out into the lead. Long story short, Nick DeVries has a glitch and a safety car ensues. Perez is in the lead after a slew of pit stops, but he's not out of the woods yet. The one driver, Max Verstappen, has speed, but that's when Sergio Perez says, bye-bye, baby. As the race ends, Esteban Ocon goes into the pit, but the mastermind race organizers have let press onto the treacherous pit lane. This is why we can't have nice things. 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton finishes 6th. The last great American dynasty, Haas, finishes out of the points, but today was a fairy tale for Sergio Perez. Verstappen finishes in 2nd, which is better than revenge. 1-2 for Red Bull is nothing new. They don't have champagne problems on the podium, but the anti-hero Max Verstappen is only ahead in the Drivers' Championship by 6 points. Fernando Alonso and Taylor Swift rumors are swirling. Long live Formula One. Max Verstappen has won the Drivers' Championship, but we still have 4 races to go. In Austin, Daniel Ricciardo rides a horse named Horsey McHorseface into the paddock. Zach Brown accuses Christian Horner of cheating, and Fort Lauderdale's own Logan Sargent will join Williams in 2023. During quali, Carlos Sainz takes the fastest lap while his teammate Charles Leclerc takes a grid penalty. Martin Brundle gets snubbed by Brad Pitt. Tim Apple doesn't know how to wave a flag. 440,000 people are at the Circuit of the Americas. It's lights out and away we go. On turn 1, Max Verstappen gets ahead of Carlos Sainz, and Sainz tries to recover, but gets hit by George Russell. The Spaniard is out of the race before the 1 lap is even over, and Russell takes a 5-second penalty. Valtteri Bottas' race ends early, and a safety car helps out Charles Leclerc for once. Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll get in a massive collision, and debris is everywhere. Lewis Hamilton on
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Greg Cody, Al Pacino was in The Godfather.
Yeah, good movie.
All right. That concludes Greg on Movies. Nick Wright is with us now. He and his show have been nominated for a Sports Emmy for Daily Sports Studio Show, Sports Center, NBA Today. This is some good company. NFL Live, Mina, his nemesis, Pat McAfee Show. Pablo Jeremy has been nominated for 3 Emmys. You're always talking about your 3 Emmys.
That'd be exciting. If he wins all 3, he can tie me.
Pablo is nominated for 3 of these. I believe this is the first time we've seen Nick since he won you guys a bunch of money. So should you guys be thanking him?
Yeah. A little weird, huh? I mean, well, it's a little odd, isn't it? I was coming on every other week, and then the moment the wire transfer goes through, all of a sudden you don't need me anymore. I don't know. It felt a little I don't know.
Did you
I thought
get
maybe
proper
I'd
thanks
talk
from the
from
group? I saw some videos being made where cash was being thrown up in the air, and I assume that got to you, but I also assume that we can screw that up and possibly not show you any gratitude at all because our video team sometimes, leaves a lot of money on the floor.
You know, Dan, I'm going to be totally honest. I think the shipping container, whatever they did or didn't do, is going to remain between us. I thought maybe, you would invite me back on the show in the, moments after. I know the next day I was supposed to come on, but I was hammered.
Nick. Oh, but this is an important detail.
We talked about that, but I needed a few hours to, to gather myself. It's been weeks, but it's fine. It doesn't matter. Everyone won. I started a little rivalry in the poker world that I didn't mean to. That started on your show because the guy got really mad that I that I implied he might not be all the way above board, and then he and I got an argument in the game. Then I won $137,000, and then everybody got paid. It was all good for everyone. Let's talk hoops. Good to see you guys. I missed your fat face.
Wemby, how do you feel about Wemby? If he wins the championship this year, he's going to hog many of them, I would assume.
Well, listen, if he wins the championship this year, that is a conversation to be had. I find the Wemby discourse already a little unique in that the press conference he did yesterday or day before yesterday, where he's like, here's my 3-point plan as to why I'm the league MVP, is the type of thing that while I think you, Dan, historically would like from your athletes, most in the media hate stuff like that.
He was asked. He was asked to give his 3 points. Like, it's not like he went up there and volunteered it. He was asked.
Well, hold on. He volunteered, I believe I'm the MVP. Then he was asked what what his 3 reasons were. And I just don't typically, a 22-year-old who's never won anything explaining to everyone how he's the best player and not why his team is the best, but why he is the best. And typically, the media scolds that. Not with this guy who, since he came into the league, has been telling us about how the Spurs play basketball the right way, there are a lot of characteristics of Wemby's overwhelming arrogance that I tend to like in athletes, you tend to like in athletes, most of the media tends to scold in athletes, and with the 22-year-old French kid, everybody applauds it. And now we're also to the place already where, in defense of a guy who, while undoubtedly being one of the 5 best players in the league, and undoubtedly being a legitimate MVP candidate, and undoubtedly being the clear-cut best defensive player in the league, because his offensive numbers are so pedestrian, we are now to the place of creating phrases and stats I've never heard of. I've watched basketball my whole life. For the first time in my life yesterday, I learned about roll gravity. I'm like, oh, roll gravity. So that's why Wemby's 24 points, 3 assists, equal Luka's 34 points and 10 assists, or Joker's 30 points and 13 assists, or Shea's 32 points and 8 assists. It's the roll gravity and how he's carrying this scrappy group of upstart Spurs that starts 3 McDonald's All-American top 5 picks. That's it. That's what it is. It just feels like we are a little ahead of ourselves.
It feels like something else too, Mike. Doesn't it? It feels
Nick,
like he's doing
the start of you being an anti-Wemby guy.
He's soft launching.
And you are so smart about picking your guys. LeBron, Patrick Mahomes. I caution you, aren't you a little worried? This guy's got all the traits to be unstoppable. It's like the easiest thing in the world to say, hey, Wemby's going to be good. Right now, what you're doing is dangerous, pal.
No, so I'm not soft launching anything. And what I am doing, he's obviously great. He's obviously at one point going to be the best player in the league. I don't think we are there yet. And I also, ultimately, if anyone knows anything about me, what I strive for in the media landscape is fairness. And I just am not that familiar with many guys who, before they play in a single playoff game, before they win a single award of substance, can take to the podium and be like, hey, I should win the MVP because I dominated the defending champ and defending league MVP. I think that, let's just do a thought exercise, okay? Let's say at week 12 next season, Caleb Williams is in the MVP race, but Matt Stafford won MVP. They didn't win the title, so it doesn't work exactly. But Stafford's way ahead. And Caleb Williams takes to the podium and says, hey, here's why I'm the MVP, and then goes right at Stafford's throat as a champion, as the defending league MVP. You think folks will, and by the way, Caleb's won a playoff game. Caleb has, up to this point in his career, has more pelts on the wall than Wemby. You think people will be like, love it. Wow, the confidence. Everybody look out. League's about to be his, or would it be some scolding? I think it'd be some scolding. The Bron, 18 years in, said, yeah, I think I'm the greatest player ever. And people are like, you can't say that about yourself. Wemby, 25 games in, was like, I'm going to dominate the league, and I believe that I'm unstoppable. And everyone's like, wow, did you know he plays chess? I just find it interesting. That's all.
In a second, we're going to play this sound, but just so that you know, Tim Reynolds asked him if he had thought about MVP, and then there was a question about title chances, and then the reporters brought it back to MVP, and here's what it is he said.
I think right now it is still reasonable that there is a debate. But as I said, I want to make sure, my goal is to make sure that there's no debate anymore at the end of the season. 3 arguments. My first one would be that defense is 50% of the game and that it is undervalued so far in the MVP race because I believe I'm the most impactful player defensively in the league. Second argument would be that we almost swept OKC in the season and we dominated them 3 times with their real team and 4 times with the, more rotation players. And my third argument would be that offense impact is not just sports.
It's a French guy in debate club. It doesn't feel like arrogance to me the way it's being delivered.
Okay, yeah, of course it doesn't feel like it because we kind of pick and choose that. But let me, if we're going to do debate club, I will, this is ground that I can, maybe fair fight with Wemby on. When he is right in that defense is 50% of the game when it comes to team success. It has never been 50% of the game when it comes to awards, which is why we have the All-NBA team, the 15 best players, and the All-Defense team. You know what we don't have, Dan? Hey, first team All-Offense. You know why? Because people were like, well, that's the All-NBA team. We have the MVP, the best player, and the Defensive Player of the Year. We don't have Offensive Player of the Year because that's almost always the MVP. Now, Wemby can say we need to redo this. This is not how it should be done. But throughout the entirety of NBA history, we have more than a dozen MVP seasons that nobody took issue with from objectively bad defenders. You know what we don't have one of? An MVP season from an objectively bad offensive player, because on an individual player level, offense does matter more. Now, maybe Wemby will change that math. That's the first point. The second point is, and this is where I take a little bit of issue with him using their success against OKC as a reason he should be MVP. Those first 3 wins against OKC, Wemby was fine. He was 24 minutes a night. He was obviously dominant defensively. He was coming back from the injury. But that was, to me, a testament to how deep their team is. And then when he says offensive impact is more than points, yes, it is also points created for teammates, which 2 of the other 3 MVP candidates are the best in the league at, in Luka and Joker. Wemby is 3 assists a game, but now I'm being told evidently that the corner threes the Spurs are generating are because Wemby has a gravitational pull like Steph Curry from 35 feet out. And I just, again, whenever there is all of a sudden a groundbreaking stat that really supports one agenda, and it's a stat no one has ever mentioned in the history of stats before, I look at it with a somewhat quizzical eye. That's all. Again, I would have him 3rd on my MVP ballot. I think it'd be Shea, Luka, Wemby. But I think we do a thing where Luka, who is...
No Jokic.
I would have Joker 4. I would have Joker 4.
He had 17 rebounds, 17 assists last night. Zach Lowe goes SGA, Wemby, Jokic. No Jokic is like when people got bored and made Karl Malone the MVP because they didn't want Michael to win anymore.
No,
you can't knock out Jokic. You can't.
Hold on. Well, I have him 4th. So you're just fine with, again, the people have gotten bored with Luka before he's won an MVP. All Luka's done since he's walked into the league is average 30 a night, carry teams deeper in the playoffs than their seed, create more open shots for anyone via actual drawing double teams and actual passes, and people are like, he yells at the refs too much. All Luka's done is upset a juggernaut 1 seed Phoenix and make Devin Booker cry en route to a conference finals at 22, and then upset OKC and the Thunder, and then Ant Edwards and the Timberwolves en route to an NBA finals at 24. In a season he averaged 33.9 points per game. He is once again having a historically great offensive season, and people are like, yeah, but he doesn't fight through picks too often. Meanwhile, Steve Nash, how's those MVPs look? Steph Curry, how's your MVPs look? Dirk Nowitzki, what about yours? James Harden, you still got the trophy? Luka can't win it because he's bad. I got your buddy, Wilbon, yesterday was like, don't even bring up Luka. Don't even bring up a guy who's 33-9-9 on the 3 seed? I don't know. And as far as Joker, maybe you'll disagree with this. I do think historically this is accurate and it's fair that each MVP is harder than the last. That the reason Jordan didn't win 7 and LeBron didn't win 8 was because it keeps getting tougher. And so, yeah, I think Joker, the fact that, and God knows, we're not the only MVP candidate we can talk about defensively is Luka. Meanwhile, Shea, while a good defender, is the worst defender in their starting lineup, and Joker has regressed this year defensively, but God forbid you bring that up with anyone but Luka. I think Joker, when they're right, at last check, I think they're the 5 seed. I think that is a fair reason to put Wemby and Luka ahead of him.
5 seed because he hurt his knee. The 4 seed because he hurt his knee. But Tony, you wanted to get in here?
No, I just think that he's having the best season that he's ever had, and he's already won 3 MVPs. He leads the leagues in rebound, in assists, and it's like, what you made the case, Nick. It's not a 50-50 award of, all right, what are you doing for me in the defensive end? Like, you talk about role gravity, that's what Jokic brings every single night.
So hold on. So then people tell me, is the argument here that Luka shouldn't be in the top 3? Is that the argument? Because I know what this group thinks of LeBron as a player right now. I know we're not going to say DeAndre Ayton is the defining person. Marcus Smart is Mike Ryan's age. Like, what is well, I didn't want to say my age because you're younger than me, Mike. I think he's the late 30s. I was trying to be
you're a grandpa.
Nice.
I mean, you're a grandpa. You can't be coming out.
I know, which is why Marcus Smart, LeBron is my age. Marcus Smart is Mike Ryan's age. I was trying to be accurate. I think Mike's younger than me. It's not the point. That wasn't a shot, Mike. I apologize. You guys are arguing that the guy who's going to win the scoring title on great efficiency, carrying a team that nobody thought was going to be the 3 seed to the 3 seed should just be an also ran in the MVP discussion. That's the argument, because it seems like you guys want Jokic to get more credit. Your guys' show is one of the chorus of shows that every day praise at the altar of Wemby. That's fine. Nobody obviously is going to knock Shea. They're the 1 seed. He hasn't had his second best player for more than half the year. He's 32 points a game. He just broke a Wilt Chamberlain record. So your guys' beef is that Luka, where Luka is.
Stan Van Gundy says Luka is the best offensive player there's ever been, and I've been soft launching for about 2 years now that I believe Jokic is a better offensive player than Michael Jordan, but I haven't been able to, it won't get any traction.
Well, then I would consider hard launching it, Dan. If you've been soft launching it for 2 years, it maybe you need to put a little more
you knew immediately when you soft launched, I'm going to make the controversial argument that LeBron is better than Michael Jordan. You knew immediately that you had gold. I keep getting out there with Jokic is better offensively than Michael Jordan, and because he's a loaf of bread, I can't get that kite off the ground.
No, here's the problem. The reason I had gold was because what I had on my side was logic, truth, and history. The reason you don't is because people are like, no, he's not. That's it. It's just, you know what I mean? It's a little bit of a blink test thing. People are like, yeah, no, he's not.
We're running out of time here. Hold on a second. Give me a second. Did you have something else? Did you want something to get to something else? Because I saw Tony and Mike were looking something up back there and laughing, and I'd like to know what it is you were looking up and laughing, Tony.
No, I just, Nick would appreciate this. I'm a guy that kind of knows style and understands certain things, and I told Mike, hey, that's a Gucci cardigan. And then we looked it up, and we saw how much it was. And we just
Well, the conversation started. I was like, why does Nick have a bunch of 69s on his sweater? But then it was just like,
no, it's Gucci.
It's Gucci.
No,
then we looked up the price.
My wife owns a vintage clothing store. This was purchased at a vintage shop somewhere. I probably for
it is Gucci, is it not?
It's got the 2 G's because it's got the price tag on the sweater all over the place.
I mean, listen, guys, this is the second time. Careful now, because this is the second time I've worn a cardigan on this show, and it's become a subject of somewhat scorn. In my, I guess, momentarily famous tete-a-tete with now 3-time Emmy-nominated Pablo Torre, if not more, the first thing he said was, you wore a cardigan into my studio. And while I focused on the 15 minutes that followed, my wife, who dresses me, picks out all my clothes, and is, I think, a fashion icon in my mind, is still angry about that. She's like, I can't believe that cardigan was gorgeous. Now I'm wearing a cardigan again. Mike Ryan thinks I'm making some sophomoric sexual jokes. And Tony, once again, even though he is my guy, it feels like this is the second instance of Tony kind of pocket watching me. Like
watching, I'm telling people that don't know there's
Googling prices of what I'm wearing.
I wanted to make sure that it was Gucci.
I'm not saying it's a bad sweater. I know it's a cardigan. All right,
how much did it cost?
All right, so I made the joke. The 2 G's.
Keep up, Dad.
Jeremy, before I get to the last point here with Nick Wright, what do you have for Nick Wright?
In terms of Wemby, Nick, on-off differential, right? The guys who, when they're on the floor, their team is better. When they're off the floor, their team is worse. Amongst guys that have played 1,000 minutes, Wemby is number 1, Jokic is number 2. Doncic is all the way down at like 40th in the league. Now, your argument to that might be they can have LeBron James on the floor. But the Spurs are supposed to be a great team even when Wemby is not there. Does that impact when he's on the floor versus when he's not stack up for you in terms of the MVP?
He is. It does. I think being third in the MVP race is pretty good. That's season 2. Like, this is the...
Whoa. First off, I wasn't talking watching. I'm explaining to guys that don't have style what style looks like. I'm giving you props.
I really like that cardigan.
Rude to our guests who also gave us money.
Very much. Listen, I think being third in the MVP race is pretty great. I just also think that we are pressing fast forward, and we are overlooking some historically great offensive seasons, most notably, I think, by Luka, but that's fine. I've always been partial to Luka. I also have this question. For the folks that have been banging the drum, Wemby is the best player in the league. Not that he will be. He's the best player in the league. He thinks he's the league MVP. what are the fair expectations for the Spurs come this postseason? And what are, like, that's because I think, because again, I am a bastion of fairness and equality. I think that if the Spurs were to get clipped in round 2 by the veteran Laker team, there's no shame in that whatsoever. That is the path teams almost always take. You guys are setting it up to where certainly they have to beat the Lakers, and Wemby just explained to us how they dominate OKC, how he's the best player in that series. So that'd be damn near a gag job if they lose to OKC.
The Spurs
so
would
I guess
be
it's finals or bust.
If the Spurs won the title, it would be unprecedented for a team that hasn't had any playoff suffering. Like they would be unprecedented if they won the title this year. He's the host of FS1's First Things First and What's Right with Nick Wright, the podcast. We've got to get him out of here. But before you go, you said you're interested in fairness along the media landscape. What is your issue with Ian Rappaport, and do you have any thoughts on Dan Orlovsky being the only guy out there saying that Ty Simpson is the number 1 quarterback while also being repped by his the same agency as
I'll answer
Ty
both
Simpson.
of those in reverse order. I think the agent stuff is so wildly unfair and ridiculous, and what Dan said yesterday is correct. The idea that we work for agents, it's the opposite of that. The agents get a cut of our money. Agents work for us. So I used to catch this stuff about Clutch and Rich, and because my agent is partners with Rich, like they work for us. So I think the idea that Dan is catering his takes to CAA clients, CAA's got 1 million clients, broadcast and sports. So I think that's unfair. I am not a college football film expert, but I do respect that I think Orlovsky has an opinion that he knows will be controversial, and he's not couching it. Like, he believes in something, he's arguing for it. And so I respect that. As far as Rappaport, and this is going to make my life awkward, but again, bastion of fairness. I have no problem whatsoever with Ian personally. None. I had dinner with him a couple times in group settings. He's a nice guy. We have mutual friends. And I think in general, he's good at his job. But I think we have crossed the Rubicon from reporting the friendliest possible contract details because it makes the agents look good to outright misleading the public. When you report that Travis Kelce signs a 3-year, $55 million deal that could be worth up to $58 million, and that then is on the bottom line of shows, fans that are not dialed into Spot Rack, like, wow, 3 years, $55 million. The Swifties are excited about it when everyone knows and knew 2 weeks ago that it is a 1-year, $12 million deal with $3 million of incentives, that in year 2 and year 3 pays him the league minimum, and 5 days into year 2, if he's on the roster, he gets a check for $40 million, which was put in as a dummy year so they can spread out the cap hit. You've now misled the audience. Travis Kelce does not have a 3-year, $55 million deal. He has a 1-year, $12 million deal. If he does not retire, he will either be cut or that will be reworked prior to the 5th day of next league year, because they're not going to give him a $40 million check. Travis doesn't expect it. The Chiefs don't expect it. His agents don't expect it. So to then report that he has something because it's technically true when it's wildly inaccurate because Milk Honey Sports now owes you a favor is, I think, ridiculous.
He's got to go.
Thanks for that.
He's the best doing this right now.
I always thought it was Spotrac, by the way.
I thought it was Spotrac.
No, it's Spot Rack.
You know what? It might be. I might have gotten that. You know what? Bad job by me. That'll probably cost me the Emmy.
On an island on your own now, Greg.
See you later. Let's find out what the truth of that is in a moment. We're going to update our tournament in a moment. And we ran out of time, or I would have just told him how some of his teams have been knocked out of our Looks Like tournament. But let's do that now. North Dakota State was represented by the Nick Wright Conference. That means this is gone.
Nick Wright looks like a Geico caveman.
And number 15, Queens, also out of the tournament. That means this is out of the
Nick
tournament.
Wright looks like Adam Driver if he wore his Kylo Ren helmet for a month straight.
We will update the rest of our tournament and tell you about the matchups that are coming up this week. But I wanted to get to this Paul George story as he returns. The 76ers would be and will be formidable if Paul George and Joel Embiid can play in a 7-game series. When those guys are out on the court together, that is a team that could beat anybody in the East. They're just rarely out on the court together. Maxey, Edgecombe, Paul George at some level or capacity that is efficient, and Joel Embiid could challenge everybody. But Paul George has said, and I want to walk carefully here because I don't want to disrespect anyone's mental health, but I think he's hiding behind it here in a way that seems fraudy. And I'll explain it to you when you read some of these quotes. Tony, look up the quotes for me here so that we can read some of the quotes, because it sounds like Paul George is saying, I was playing poorly, my body hurt, I got sad, it affected my mental health, therefore I used PEDs. And that's not how mental health works. Like, you got sad because you were playing poorly isn't something that you file under the umbrella of mental health to try and get away with your cheating, because you know people will be careful about attacking something that they need to be careful about. But the way that he's presenting this shows a basic misunderstanding of mental health, and the way he's communicating it makes me feel like he either doesn't know what mental health issues are or is articulating them poorly. But just because you're playing poorly, you can't just say mental health. You're sad because you're playing poorly. Like, this is how aging works. The body starts to betray you. You can't just file it under, hey, my brain chemistry has something wrong with it because you're sad because you're playing poorly.
Here's the exact quote from PG. The most difficult thing is when your body isn't where you know it needs to be or where it once was. This leads and bleeds to the mental side of things, knowing that you're limited. But for me, I feel good. My body's feeling great. Mentally, I know I'm capable of doing what I need to do, and I've been able on the court for years now.
So this part is difficult because I don't know the depths of his mental health issues. But if you're going to get suspended for 25 games and then use it as the armor against our questions, you need to explain it better. Like, if you're going to volunteer that that's the reason we shouldn't go after you for cheating, you need to do a better job of explaining to us what the issues are with the darkness and the brain chemistry that would make it slightly more believable that you're not just sad because you're not the player you used to be.
Another quote reads, being a pro athlete takes a toll on you. My body wasn't where I wanted it to be. The expectations to perform because of my body not being where it needed to be. Obviously, I'm going to have expectations for myself, and that's what led to a poor decision at the time.
I will say,
That's
as
important.
I've said before.
That's ownership at the end, Dan.
I will say, as I've said before, professional sports is a mental health obstacle course. You're getting to work every day and competing with others who want to take your job and your money. You're competing against a desperate world, war-torn countries, the inner cities over money. You're at the top 1% of the top 1%, and every day you come into work, they're trying to figure out a way to get someone younger and cheaper to take your dollars. The whole thing is a difficult mental health challenge for every single person who has to work in that environment. I cannot tell you the number of athletes who have articulated to me no joy in the doing of their work except when those 3 hours of play are taking place. No joy anywhere else around it. Not before, not in the travel, not like the lifestyle, sure. I'm going to say parts of the lifestyle. People don't understand the lifestyle. Getting to every city at 5 a.m. and having a walk around in a hotel ballroom doesn't feel like whatever you imagine is the height of athletic fame and glory. Many, many athletes, all they like about sports is the 3 hours of performance. But most of life is not that 3 hours of a performance. Most of life is a mental health challenge.
I believe Paul George when he says there's a link between his mental health issues and his using PEDs. I don't have any reason not to believe him. The question, is that a legitimate excuse? And I don't think it would be seen as one.
It is a legitimate excuse if mental health issues are real and you're taking some sort of medication that helps you with your real mental health issues. But again, the way he's articulating this to me, you're shaking your head at me, Mike, but the way that he's articulating this to us in the quotes is saying, I'm sad because my body wasn't where it was. And that's why a lot of guys use PEDs.
All right, so there's a lot to chew on here, and I don't know if he's self-diagnosed. I don't listen to his pod, so I don't know if he's consulted people on this. Here's what I do know: he broke the rule, and it's a very clear rule. And he could be taking stuff that is in line with the rules. There is no confusion to these NBA players as to what's allowed for them to put in their bodies and what's not.
It's so easy to find out, too.
And he broke the rule. Now, he may be offering up an explanation. It could also be looked into as an excuse, and it could play into what you're saying, which is, holding that up as a shield as he knowingly breaks the rule. I think that there are two things at play here. And I think he can have his struggles. And I think he can be honest about them. And he can even tout advocacy. But he broke the rule. And there's no real explanation for that, as meekly as he tries to offer one.
Is it possible that he doesn't even, like, is he lying? Is it possible that he's lying and he's just using the mental health part? Because, yes, it's very difficult to question someone when they say that they're having mental health issues, because there have to be plenty of athletes, plenty of players in the NBA who are using antidepressants to deal. Like, there are hundreds of antidepressants out there that you are absolutely able to use, prescribed by a doctor, that is not going to get you pinched against the league's PED.
I think what Zaz is saying is super important. Paul George is definitely not the only person in that league struggling with mental health.
He is the only one, though, getting the rare 25-game suspension from a league that doesn't do a lot of that.
That's right.
The only one.
Which is why I'm asking.
That's also a credit.
Untruthful.
Right. That's also a credit to the players that are going through this, that know the rules, that have what they feel is like the very same excuse, and are choosing to follow the rules.
I wouldn't go as far as to slap him with the pejorative of lying. To me, this sounds like someone who's not properly informed on the spectrum of mental health issues when he articulates it in a way that says to you flatly, it's the opposite of lying. It's a little too honest. I'm sad because my body doesn't work the way it's supposed to. It's not lying. He's being too truthful about what it is he did and why he did it. And that's making me question not whether he's lying about mental health as an excuse, whether he understands what he's talking about.
If Paul George is someone who is predisposed to depression, he's been someone who is open about mental health throughout his career, not necessarily, for example, articulating it as well as Kevin Love, who is one of the guys who has been outspoken about these things and has gotten into some really deep, in-depth conversations about his own treatment. Paul George is not saying here, I took a performance-enhancing drug to help my body because my mental health was failing. What he's saying is, my body was breaking down, which sent me into some sort of depressive state here, and so I took something that was banned. So what we don't know is, was he trying to self-medicate in some sort of way with his mental health? Maybe Paul George is someone who is already taking some sort of pre-approved antidepressant that is okay within the league. But then he decided to self-medicate, and he says, I made a bad decision at the time. Look, I'll be somewhat vulnerable here. I've gone through major ups and downs with my own mental health, and have gone through stages where I have self-medicated in ways that I wish I wouldn't have. And now I've gotten the proper medications diagnosed by a doctor that help me stay stable in those things. Paul George maybe is someone that didn't consult with a doctor and should have. He violated the rules. He was suspended. And now he's showing up vulnerably and saying, hey, I made a mistake. It's my fault. I'm owning it. I'm explaining to you why. And now, after 25 games off, my body feels good. I'm not going to make this mistake again. I don't think that we need to necessarily criticize him for using mental health as a crutch as much as it's a seemingly real and vulnerable explanation.
You're saying he's explaining it, and I'm saying he's not explaining it well. He got fined $12 million and had 25 games to think about what he was going to say when he got back and how he was going to say it. These people have management and all sorts of people around them to help them with the delivery of that message. The way he delivered it didn't reach me as someone who's predisposed to compassion and empathy in all of these circumstances. I'm reading this, and I'm saying this is an affront to other people who are dealing with mental health
Totally
issues.
fair.
And it's not because of what he may or may not be suffering. It's because of how he's explaining it to me.
Completely
like,
fair.
I don't want to question what the depths of his despair are. The way he explained it to us, though, is like, I wasn't playing well, and so I did something I shouldn't have done.
And while he may not have consulted a mental health specialist, as has already underscored, they are being consulted as to what is legal and what is not, according to the bylaws of a league.
He did mental health advocacy no favors in any of
I
this.
agree. And his logic could be applied to anybody that has ever taken performance enhancers ever, because I'm not good enough, and that is weighing on my mind.
Totally fair.
Unhappiness at work, of course, is a struggle. Deteriorating your body when you're competing against people whose bodies are functioning better, yeah, that's a hardship, but you got to explain it better than that.
He just won with Jeremy Taché.
Because Jeremy was an alleged journalist last night. Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Jeremy, who is an up-and-comer in the broadcasting game and is someone who has now journalistic credentials around, literal credentials around the Heat and the Marlins. Yesterday he was hosting. And this is one of the great things, Stugotz, this time of year. We get it so infrequently around here in South Florida. But South Florida has always done this well. The rest of the country always makes fun of, you guys don't care about that sports that much. You're bandwagon people. All right. Many of us are. Not everyone is. The loyalists are super loyal. But Miami does the bandwagon better than anybody. Miami does. Everyone now show up for the party. And so you have, stunningly, a hockey arena in the Everglades, like surrounded by airboats and alligators, filled with people to do the wave, watching the game on television. And at the Heat, across the street from us last night, Jeremy Taché is watching the end of that game with a lot of people who are excited. And Stugotz, I'm getting a lot of this. Jimmy was out of bounds, and it ended up being a 3. That was a goaltend ref culture win. Okay, whatever. Tell it to the people who were yelling and screaming around Jeremy.
How about this? 1-1, we're coming home.
Okay, who's we?
Yeah, I took the Heat in 5. Anyone else?
He's right.
All right. The Knicks are watching this like everybody
2 rounds
else.
ago.
It was a long time ago, understandably. Here's Jeremy Taché not being a journalist while covering, again, an arena filled with people, but no players or athletes were there.
You're catching us right now as the Miami Heat have just won Game 2 of the NBA Finals. You can see that this crowd here is hoisting babies into the air. This crowd is ready from the moment this game started, and it has continued here as the Miami Heat have just upset the Denver Nuggets. We got fans go crazy. We're high-fiving. Everybody's ready for an unbelievable night right here in Miami. The Kaseya Center was ready for a great night from the jump, as this energy around the entire lower bowl was electric from the moment this game started until the moment it ended. As we pan out to the rest of the crowd, you can see the entire lower bowl going absolutely crazy to end this game. The Miami Heat have
have just won it as Jamal Murray's shot has not gone in. I cannot believe what I've witnessed around me. There were moments in the fourth quarter where I couldn't hear myself think. I don't even know if you can hear me on the microphone. What a night at the Kaseya Center as the Miami Heat take their first game, their first win in Denver, and I know that this crowd right here is ready for an unbelievable party Wednesday night, Game 3 here in the Heat's house. Guys, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Oh my gosh, Jeremy Taché doing that on one tank of oxygen.
Not a single breath taken. He was like one of those free divers that go down for 20 minutes at the bottom of the ocean. It was a record. And if you're listening just by audio and not watching, what you didn't see in that noise is there were 11 actual babies tossed in the air. Just infants.
Seems reckless.
It does. But hey, it's game 2.
Right.
Wait till game 7 of this thing.
Right.
11 babies, a fetus.
It's not going 7. I said 5. I mean,
That's right.
You did mention that.
Yeah.
The energy was actually insane. I don't remember any of that. I feel like I blacked out as that happened. It sounded like I was losing my voice. I wasn't losing my voice. I literally was just unhinged. I don't remember it. It was really amazing.
You blacked out. Excellent work by you, blacking out as a impartial observer of games.
Well, you can't be impartial if you're holding a microphone that says Heat TV.
My job
Right.
is sales
and
that
high-fiving.
You're
people.
emceeing.
Yeah.
Emceeing is really sales.
I'm
right.
there.
Yeah.
I'm there to make sure everybody's ready to be at games 3 and 4. I'm there to make sure that everybody is ready to be at the road rally. Bally Sports, the heart of the fan.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Would the Zeller minutes look the same if you replaced him with a newborn giraffe?
Or that newborn baby that was being hoisted into the air.
The giraffe would just be more distracting. I feel like we'd have more success.
No,
It'd be
Zeller's
like,
plenty distracting.
Porter
He's right
Jr.
now.
would be like, why is there a giraffe on the court?
No. Listen to me. Zeller is a strong human being. He is a big human being. And when he starts balling around there.
I can't take my eyes off of him.
Well, no, nobody can. Nobody can. Jokic, you're hoping to distract Jokic. It's dangerous. It's like having a wrecking ball just move through the court, but it's like on a hinge that's not safe, and it's just swinging through, and you got to be careful because every once in a while they'll put one in with an offensive rebound, but everyone be careful because it might fly into the stands. The Zeller minutes are amazing. Yeah. They're a joy to watch.
Oh. Ever since Tony pointed it out, those black shoes, they don't
it's
help.
The hair or lack of hair too. It's kind of disturbing.
No, it's also the mask, or just again. I've mentioned that it should be a retainer, a wire that runs outside of his mouth. It's just
like
all
ear to ear
that could impale someone.
And if not for a Theragun, that could be Dwayne Dedman.
Jeremy becomes Jeremy.
Okay, so we got a bear here stumbling around.
We are going to onboard Juju and Trista here in a moment. They are in the queue. You can catch them on Alley Oop on YouTube at DLS Hoops and on Good Follow, the show on DraftKings Network. Before we do that, I want to update our tournament, though, with them, for them. Miami is out, sadly, and also, sadly, this is out.
Jim Rome looks like the guy who regularly takes practice golf swings in his office.
Purdue advances. Yeah, I know that one hurts, right, Juju? But at least this advances. Purdue advances, that means this advances.
Jonathan Zaslow looks like he says, uh-oh, spaghetti-o, when he sees someone pulled over.
Trista, you laughed before we got to the punchline. The punchline wasn't uh-oh, spaghetti-o. It was when someone's pulled over. Are you wearing a cardigan? What are you doing? What are you making fun? You're making fun of Nick Wright?
Had to do it. Saw that it was getting a couple of laughs. I was getting ready for the day since I'm on West Coast time, and I said, I got fancy cardigans,
Is yours Gucci, though?
It's Farm Rio, which is actually more for the culture.
That's Fucci, then.
Hoochie. Utah State, the Zaslow Conference is strong. The Zaslow Conference also advanced to this next game, but Utah State has been eliminated. That means this is eliminated.
Kirby Smart looks like the wholesale tire rep who tells you he didn't charge you for that alignment even though it's complimentary.
Deserves to be gone. Arizona deserves to advance because this deserves to advance.
Jonathan Zaslow looks like an off-duty mime.
Oh, come on.
It's a nice headshot.
Kentucky is gone. That means this is gone.
Fernando Mendoza looks like he makes his animal crackers fight each other before he eats them.
His coach advances, though. That means number 2, Iowa State. Don't hurt yourself laughing and coughing, Cody. Number 2, Iowa State advances. That means this advances.
Kurt Signetti looks like the uncle who comes to your house for Thanksgiving and before even saying hello says, "Your doorknob's loose."
That picture with that one is great. Virginia's gone. It hurts me to say. It really hurts me to say that this is gone.
No, Dan, no.
Bill Plaschke looks like he's the father of Jonathan Zaslow.
Crushing.
No! Anti-Virginia forever.
Crushing. Tennessee shouldn't advance, but Tennessee does.
Pete Alonso looks like a police officer who, even when he's not working, still asks, "What's your 20?" when waiting for you to arrive.
Number 4, Kansas is gone. Kansas is gone because they don't defend layups at the buzzer with no time left. That means this is gone.
Well, looks like he disapproves of his daughter's choice.
St. John's advances. That means this advances.
Scott Hansen looks like an orthodontist.
Solid team.
I can't believe this one's gone. It's a number 1 seed, so it deserves its ranking. But Florida's gone. That means this is gone.
Larry Bird and Adam Silver look like the couple in that famous painting, American Gothic.
I mean, that's amazing. It really is. Iowa advances. That means this advances.
Mike McDaniel looks like the barista who asks if you've ever tried journaling while making your oat milk latte.
I want to do some stats of the day here because I'm told Juju has one and I have one to counter, and I want you guys to vote on who's got the better stat of the day. Let's make them compete.
Start of the day, start of the day. This is start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. This is start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. This is start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. This is start of the day.
What do you got, Juju?
Joel Embiid has appeared in 91 games since he won the MVP. Nikola Jokic has 88 triple-doubles since Joel Embiid won the MVP. Trust the process, Greg.
I did not know that you were going with a Jokic stat, so is his better than mine? Zaslow and Greg Cody were incredulous during the break. Nick Wright making Jokic sound like a clown because everyone is done with Jokic winning the MVPs. They, again, have the number 1 offensive rating, as they have all season. And last night, Jokic goes for 23, 17, and 17. 17 rebounds, 7 assists. He's got 3 such games. In the history of the NBA, there have been 4 other such games. So
he's incredible.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Is there a single general manager in the NBA right now that wouldn't take Wembanyama or Jokic over Doncic?
Trista, where are you on this? Where are you on the MVP voting?
I don't know how he does it, to be honest. Does he just sit in his, like, some sort of leather lounge chair of hot takes? And he's like, you know what I'm going to do?
Yep.
I'm going to muster up the strength to hate on Wemby. That I'm going to find the most nitpicky, logical ways to say, I think he's arrogant. I think everything that we love about this Frenchman, I think I hate.
Yes is the answer. It's the answer. The answer to your question is you do know exactly what Nick Wright is doing, and you know exactly how he's doing it. It's in a leather chair that has it's a bit. It feels like whatever you imagine hell would look like. Fire all around him and stuff.
Wow, fire and brimstone.
I don't know if there's brimstone, but there's fire. Juju, do you have any thoughts on this?
Oh, nah. Victor Wembanyama is the best basketball player I've ever seen in my entire life. So that's my opinion. And I want to take it further. Yes, I agree, Nick. I think the Spurs will win the championship this year. I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb because they have one key ingredient that you need. They got a veteran that can score in the fourth quarter, a means guy, De'Aaron Fox. He is going to play an important role in the playoffs, and then he's going to let all those other pieces do what they do the rest of the game. I got them for the chip this year.
You guys do realize, though, that if the Spurs win the championship, there is not precedent for a team never playing in the playoffs and then all of a sudden winning the championship. Like, usually you have to lose lose sometimes in the playoffs to grow the way you need to grow in order to win.
The only example that I would give there.
1977, Spirit of 77, Portland Trailblazers.
That's true. The other example I would give, and now granted these players had a lot of playoff experience, but the 08 Celtics were just put together and won immediately.
Okay, but it also took them a bunch of 7-game series to do that. It took them longer in games than it has ever taken, and the 3 core players had playoff experience. It's not De'Aaron Fox's playoff experience.
Correct.
Like that, do you guys think that matters, or are we in a new sport? It is possible that my information is dated, Trista, because the thing that's happened the last couple of years that doesn't happen very often in that sport is you've had teams in the finals that have surprised you. Like Indiana being in the finals surprised you. Dallas being in the finals surprised you. So maybe with threes, it's a totally different sport than it has been historically.
Well, and historically, we don't have a guy that's 7'5", maybe 7'6", maybe 7'7". He keeps growing. Who can do all the things that Wemby can do, who I see him doing downward-facing dog and the pigeon and all these different yoga moves. He's certainly very limber at that size, which is not something that we could say for someone like Yao Ming or even Arvydas Sabonis back in the day. So the things that Wemby is doing sort of break our imagination of what is possible to start with, and then you add what the Spurs have surrounded him with, and you say, maybe this is just a new paradigm.
Right.
Juju,
and the paradigm I was going to speak of, my bad, I was going to add on to that. Like she said, we ain't never seen a brother wearing a size 48 shoe dunking from the three-point line, so that's pretty unprecedented. So I would expect his team to do unprecedented things.
Do either of you or both of you have top 5 lists?
Both.
Oh, yeah.
Both.
Trista, kick it out, Trista.
All right.
You got to know.
What is your top 5 about Trista?
Top 5 NCAA names. I've been making this list. I have about 20 of them, but we're going to go one OLI, which I, of course, just found out what it was, which I had to educate my mom on, but I didn't actually know, so I had to look it back up. But I have one OLA and then a top 5 list.
All
top
right.
names.
So any better than Con Knipple, our favorite from last year? Do you have any better names than that?
That was last year, Dan.
You can't do better than Nipples,
Okay.
really.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Can you do better than Nipples? OLI, Trista.
Greg?
Oh, can you do better than Nipples, Greg?
Baby.
I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
OLI, Boopy Miller. I mean, come on. That just instills whimsy. Boopy?
Yes, you're right. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Does the name Boopy instill whimsy? Yes or no? Number 5.
Number 5. Actually, this is in no particular order, but we're going to start with number 5,
What do you
David
mean?
Punch.
What do you mean? What do you mean it's in no particular order? It's respect the rules. What do you mean there's no order? It's 5 in descent.
You can't say 5. Wait, no particular order,
It's
but 5.
ascending order. It's them getting better as we go. Number 4.
Well, I got to tell you, number 5, David Punch.
Yeah, you mentioned that already. Yes, you mentioned that, but then you said in no particular order.
Not to be confused. I have to get this joke off because I thought of it and it's too good. Not to be confused with Punch the Macaque from the zoo that got bullied by the rest of the macaques.
Worth it. Worth it.
Not worth it. She didn't have to get that joke off. She should have edited herself. Number 4.
Solo ball. Gotta have guys with cojones on your team, but what about just one hone? This guy is the Han Solo.
You put it in the wrong place. It's not a hone, it's a cajon.
One hone.
Co does not mean 2 in Spanish.
Number 3.
The alley-oop at DLS Hoops.
Number 3, LeBaron Philon. A French word, Le Baron, the Baron. Philon could be reminiscent of pylon, could be reminiscent of the making of the band Dylon, and Dylon. I need to hear him say Philon, 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 and Philon.
Number 2.
Koa Pete. Sounds like something I have to go and get from Petco to add to my soil when I help my mom make tomato plants.
Is that
Number
what it sounds
one.
like?
Oddly specific.
Yeah.
Koa Pete.
Exactly right.
That is what that sounds like? Okay, number one.
Number one, of course, for y'all is Chandler Bing.
Why?
Oh, come
He's
on,
a black
Dan.
kid who doesn't know anything about the whitest show on television's Friends. Just very rude for his parents to have named him that when he has.
You don't know
and
Chandler
they
Bing?
Probably have.
Dan?
You don't know Chandler Bing?
I was confused the moment she said in no particular order. It was
Chandler Bing.
It's so disrespectful to the top five list, and she had no confidence in her number one when.
Wait,
she
his
said
last
that.
name's Bing in the show?
Yes.
That's wild.
Right.
Chandler
I knew
Bing.
he was Chandler. I didn't know his last. That's insane.
You know, my middle name is Chandler because of
Right.
Chandler Bing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Put it on
I
the
can't
poll.
believe his parents didn't put him on.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Did you know that Chandler from Friends' last name was Bing? Juju, what is your top five list?
Yes, sir, man. It's the tis the season for the NBA, bro. So I got sentences that you thought you would never hear on the brain, since you said it earlier with the brother with the quadriplegic situation. So it put me in the mood. Top 5 sentences that if you would have told me happened before the season, I would have told you to stay off the weed.
You got 5 sentences. So I mentioned the headline: quadruple amputee cornhole player fatally shoots man, and that inspired you to make a top 5 list. Any OLI or just number 5?
Yeah, OLI had Paul George PED, but y'all got too heavy on him earlier, so I'm going to just leave my brother off the list and respect his mental health. Giannis will become a supervillain / liar / salesman.
Did you guys have
I don't
any
know.
thoughts on the NBA Players Association rebuking the Bucks for wanting to sit down Giannis? Did you guys have anything on that subject? Because Giannis wants to play, wants the optics of wanting to play, and now the NBA PA is saying he needs to be able to play, and you guys, the Bucks, are wrong for not allowing him to play or not wanting him to play.
Yeah, I think this is just a good old-fashioned standoff. And I agree with the PA, to be honest with you. Like, if Giannis is healthy enough to go ahead and play the rest of the season out, I think he should be able to do that. Clearly, it's the Bucks wanting to maintain the value of their asset to potentially either give him an extension, which I don't know if he'll ever accept, or to trade him to a team like the Knicks or the Heat or wherever it is that he wants to go. But if he has an hyperextended knee that turns into a torn MCL or a torn ACL, what is his value really this summer?
Right.
Juju, the next
Number
one.
5. Yeah, number 5. Anthony Davis and Trae Young are wizards.
Lizards.
Right. Wizards. I would have never thought that. Number 4. Jason Tatum has been back for weeks.
It's funny.
I would have never expected that.
Yep.
Number 3, Bam Adebayo had 83 damn points.
How is that number 3?
You got 2 better.
Number 3?
You got 2 better than that. All right.
Exactly. I do, bruh. Number 2, Chauncey Billups got caught up in a RICO.
All right.
Yeah,
All right,
you got one better than that. All right, let's see what
Damon
you got.
Jones slid on that one.
Let's see what you got.
And number 1, Josh Hart stuck his thumbs up Jalen Brunson's behind after winning the in-season tournament.
No, see, you've been obsessed with this. That does not deserve to be number 1 over number 2.
No, the shocking part was that the Knicks won something.
The shocker.
There we go. There we go.
Trista, what is your issue with David Sampson beyond him saying you were dressed in your PJs the last time that he saw you? What kind of objections do you have today with David Sampson?
Well, the first time we talked, we were discussing the CBA, and I asked him about revenue share, which we had to pull the receipts on. And I feel like we should play that clip before I let you know exactly what my issue is. If the players are not going to move on a revenue split versus derived revenue share off of a fixed number, what is your opinion on what happens?
Maybe the end of the WNBA. The players will move.
What happened, folks? We got to a gross revenue split. And I would have just appreciated a little integrity from David Sampson a little mea culpa because he said it would be the end of the WNBA if they didn't move upon that. And now I saw a new clip that he believes that the NBA got exactly what they wanted. This is some goalpost moving nonsense.
I need to correct your Spanish, and it's not because I'm still bitter because of the way that I pronounced Iran instead of Iran, because it's how I was pronouncing it 30 years ago when I first got it, and it's how the rest of my fellow Americans were pronouncing it 30 years ago incorrectly. I don't think it's mea culpa. I think it's mea culpa.
Oh, yeah, mea culpa.
It's actually Latin,
bad.
not Spanish.
Yeah, Latin.
Mea culpa.
Right.
Mea. So
Latin.
Yeah,
So
I
got it
don't
wrong.
think it's any of those that Dan said.
You had it Spanish. It's not Spanish. It's Latin.
MEA.
So it is mea culpa?
I think it's
No,
mea
it's
culpa.
not. It's not Maya, and it's apparently not
Mia.
Mia.
No,
it's Mea.
And
MEA.
this is an important conversation.
I'm
Yeah.
glad
Like
we're
Maya
having
At least we
Angelo.
weren't correcting people on it.
Let's do a stat of the day because we have not done this in a while, and we were supposed to be doing, MVP of the day because we were supposed to be doing this with Zaz every day, and we have not been doing it every day. Let's do Juju and Zaz. Zaz is MVP of the day.
Of the day.
Dan, there's a lot of good players in the NBA, and it's about time we have a discussion as to who should be the MVP of the league this year. Season's almost over. If we're going to talk about the MVP of the NBA, we better have a conversation about Nikola Jokic. Last night, the Nuggets beat the Suns 125-123. Jokic, 23 points, 17 rebounds, 17 assists. I mean, I know Nick Wright thinks that Jokic is a bum, but it's possible that we should have a conversation about Nikola Jokic being MVP.
You've nominated him a lot, I feel like. I feel like we can
Good
do
player.
that every day.
This is appearance 2.5 for Nikola Jokic. The half coming from the fact that there was one day where on Zaz's behalf it was Juju saying it should be Nikola Jokic. So Zaz has only said it once, Juju said it once,
Okay,
but
so
on
it's really
Zaz's
like the
behalf.
opposite of having said it a lot, like Dan said, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you've said some others a lot.
You and Nikola have the same agent.
He needs to watch his tone.
You can watch Juju and Trista on the Alley Hoop on YouTube at DLS Hoops and on Goodfollow.
Of the day.
On the DraftKings Network. Thank you, Tristan, Juju. They have excellent chemistry. I urge you, their information is also good, and they are excellent on pop culture. Again, Alley Hoop on YouTube at DLS Hoops. Thank you. Appreciate the time, the information, and the sweater. Chris Cody today greets me. This was hello today from your son, Greg. He greets me with Levante David was blubbering, is what he says. He used the word blubbering, and then he's like,
A little unfair.
am I quoting you directly or not?
You are. You are. I may have couched it a little, but go on.
No, what he really said was worse.
Well, yes, I was protecting you. I was.
What do you say?
I was.
That's
couching
usually
it.
our jobs.
I'll allow it.
I was couching it for you. The blubbering made it feel like you were making fun of Levante David. And then you started apologizing, saying, I don't want to make fun of the guy. But once you used the word blubbering, like that is the word that was mocking him.
I think what we're about to listen to is a very sweet message of him. He's retiring. He'll tell you what he's grateful for. Very sweet what he's saying. But I would think he would even admit, in hindsight, the noises that he makes doing this are he's got to be laughing at it a little bit.
For those of you guys who are not familiar with this sound, you guys have done this before. When Brett Favre retired, one of the 17 times he retired, whenever guys break down, and can you guys do me the favor, please? Find Mike Schmidt when he was retiring, sort of falling into his locker. Find Brett Favre for me and the video of him crying in a way that makes for mockery, even though it's the most sincere of emotion from a group of people that don't get rewarded for showing emotion that's not passion or violent, because our athletes at the end of their time, when you've been as great as this person has been, I can't even imagine how much Levante David has cared over the years, because I could make an argument this is a top 5 Buck of all time, maybe top 3. In terms,
It's a buck off.
Go ahead and name them, Greg. If you think that there are 5 better in terms of allegiances to city, loved by their city, excellence at the position, because he's been a great defensive player for a really long time, really counted on by that team. But you're objecting? You think you can name 5 who are more associated with Tampa Bay? I know it's a defensive position, but you think you can name 5 that the fan base is more connected to in Tampa than this guy? I don't think Tom Brady can count. He was only there for a couple of years. This guy played 14 years for the Bucs.
My argument isn't that he's the best or 4th or whatever. My argument is that he's been such a great player. I think of him as a consistent, really good player. I don't think of him as great. He made 1 Pro Bowl in 14 years. I'm sure he's beloved in Tampa. I don't know that outside of Tampa he's seen as an all-time great.
An immortal, I would argue, like Mark Andrews in Baltimore, to Tampa. To Tampa, I would believe that the connection here, it's just really unusual to have a player play for the same team for 14 years and then retire. It's not a normal thing. And he cares about all of it a great deal, and this is what caring sounds like.
I might get a little emotional because it's always how I always get when I talk about my parents. I mean, everybody have parents, man, but you don't understand how much they meant to me. Growing up where I grew up, it ain't easy. It ain't easy, but they found a way for me. And you don't understand that until you get older, until you have kids of your own. And the sacrifices they made for you, the things they did for you. It's just thinking about my dad, the sacrifices he made. He was never the breadwinner in our family, but for some reason, him and my mom made it work. And their relationship lasted for so long. And when you saw, how they was compatible with each other and how they made our lives easier. And, we had 1 car. My mom took the car to work. And my dad used to take me to practice on his handlebars, and on a bike. We used to walk sometimes. And, as a kid, you like, dang, man, like that walk was a far walk. But you realize, like, it's a sacrifice that you got to make to help your sons, your kids' dreams come true. And they did it.
I didn't hear the whole thing.
Let me explain to the audience what just happened here, okay? Because Tony was laughing in the back, and it might have confused you why it is Tony was laughing in the back. Chris Cody could not look at me. I've never seen him shrink quite this way. He hid the entirety of his body behind the microphone. All I saw was his hat, okay? because, well, wait a minute. You're not going to skate here. You're not going to skate here. Because as your son hid and shrunk so that all I saw was a microphone wearing a hat and Tony laughing behind him because Chris didn't want to be seen, both Lewis and Jeremy were saying into each of my ears, he's lost both of his parents, okay?
Another thing I didn't know.
Okay, hold on, okay? Because it seemed from the way you were hiding behind the microphone that you did know. Your father, and look, I would say in this case, the lack of courtesy doesn't fall far from the tree. The lack of decency.
Like an apple.
Greg's right.
The lack of courtesy and the apple are the only 2 things that don't fall far from a tree. A common phrase. The lack of courtesy falling far from a tree. First time ever said, this guy, inventing a new phrase. Go on, what were you saying? Lack of courtesy, not falling far from a tree.
I didn't say Apple because that's the reference when a child, it's like his father or his...
So proud. It's the joke you were going for.
All he did was repeat it, and he's proud of himself. But that's not the part that was funny.
No, let's stay here.
Yeah, as you're hiding behind the microphone, he, through his coughing, raspy voice that anyone can barely understand because it's so spent, and we're broadcasting the descent of his career.
Live.
Barely. Greg Cody says of Levante David in the middle of that, he's squeaking.
There were a couple funny noises there. I'll admit, that was very sweet. Come on. There were a few, he got, really high-pitched at one point.
There was a squeak.
This morning, okay, I'm the one who first found the clip because I love it. I think it's great. And this morning, Chris walks in the room after hearing it or watching it for the first time, and he says to me, Zaslow, is it wrong that I laughed throughout that entire thing?
Throughout is probably not a direct quote.
Let me get the entirety of this. Again, I said that I was softening it for you, and after you just merely dismissed him with a blubbering, this man is getting emotional immediately after saying he doesn't want to get emotional, and it grabs him pretty hard. But it's his parents.
He cried several times throughout this speech.
Yeah. It's his late parents that he's thinking about and the sacrifices they made so that he could get to where it is that he is now. So let's hear that again.
I might get a little emotional because it's always how I always get when I talk about my parents. I mean, everybody have parents, man, but you don't understand how much they meant to me. Growing up where I grew up, it ain't easy. It ain't easy, but they found a way for me. And you don't understand that until you get older, until you have kids of your own. And the sacrifices they made for you, the things they did for you.
All right, I'm going to go to the penalty box.
Yeah, well deserved.
Glad you faded.
I'll never forget the look on your face when you were giggling in the microphone, and then I told you, hey, both of his parents have passed away. That was when you disappeared behind the microphone.
To be fair to him, he did not actually know, and
You probably should have looked it up.
Ignorance is not quite a defense.
Most people would.
Ignorance doesn't fall far from the tree.
When you see someone react like that and the words that he used, my natural instinct would be to Google what's going on there.
Came in and flipped me off.
You guys always want your athletes to care. It's one of the complaints that you have. On top of everything else with Levante David's career, can you look up for me how many games he missed? Because when I think of that guy, I always think of him, not unlike Bobby Wagner, being in the right place all the time on knowing where it is that football requires you to be, and always showing up because you're incredibly tough and you care in a way that's unusual, at least in part, it would seem, because you appreciate what it is that your parents did in raising you, and it's instilled in part of your fiber. It's what made you excellent.
From 2012 through 2025, he played 215 games. The fewest games he played in a season was 12 back in 2021.
He missed 13 games in a 14-year career.
It's unbelievable.
I feel sort of bad. He's a Miami native, a Miami kid. He had a great career. I just push back a little bit at the overarching opinion of who he is in NFL history. I don't think he's an all-time great outside of Tampa Bay.
Well, let's do this. He's got an unusual connection to his community and his team. You're going to find very few players with the longevity of 14 years. You're going to even find a great many fewer with the longevity of 14 years in one place, retiring at the end without any movement. But let's go ahead and do this because when it comes to all-time greats, I don't think that you can name very many at linebacker. There are some, but my guess is that we will run out after about 10 on linebackers. And for the modern day, how many are you giving me right now outside of Fred Warner and Bobby Wagner in terms of people that you're watching right now that you say are all-time greats at the position? Brian Urlacher gets a lot of credit for being an all-time great, and I understand it. It was in Chicago. He was following some people. But I think of Levante David as being something very close to all-time great, even though, as you mentioned, one Pro Bowl isn't the standard for that measurement.
Yeah, Luke Kuechly just made the Hall of Fame. He was
Kuechly.
great.
I don't think of him as one either, incidentally.
I was surprised that he made the Hall of Fame.
I wasn't surprised he made the Hall of Fame. I was surprised he made it on the first ballot.
Well,
didn't
he had a short career. I don't think people were blaming him for an injury that ended his career.
But when you think of right now, all-time linebackers playing presently, if you're not willing to extend the distinction to Levante David, who are you extending it to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you could extend it to Levante David. He's been all-pro once.
Yeah, that's what he mentioned, and that's the indictment. But give me the guys that
the
you
position
are.
has been devalued in the NFL.
Right.
I mean, Roquan Smith is considered one of the best. He was made available. Anzalone, he moved teams. Like, you don't see many legacy linebackers anymore.
Other than Van Ginkel.
What do you do with Micah Parsons? Is he a linebacker? Is he an edge rusher? Is he a hybrid?
He's an edge
Plays
rusher.
linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, he plays all over the line.
Edge. No, again, great career, but I think he's a regional great career. I don't think he's a national great career.
But got a little squeaky there, right?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Thank you. Not like Levante David squeaked, but...
How do you feel about what's going on with your voice? Because I'm not sure it's ever sounded quite as ill as it does
I think another
today.
coffee will help.
I don't.
Whatever you do, don't drink any water.
I don't. Look,
To me,
he's coffee.
I've been saying it for 2 hours. It just sounds like he's in a desert.
Greg Coffee.
Get this guy. I bet we get him a glass of water. He will sound instantly better.
Oh, you think it's not great for his voice that he drinks tar all day?
That's what I'm saying. Dad, you should pour that out. You should see the sludge that is his
Have you
coffee.
considered
Motor oil in
tea?
here.
We
A little
tried
bit of caffeine through tea?
We did the throat coat thing with him a few years ago.
I don't like tea. I'm not a big tea drinker.
You guys don't agree with me that this is the worst he's ever sounded, just in terms of quality of his voice?
No, there was a couple years. We're forgetting how bad it was with him. I listened back to old Greg Cody Show podcasts, like hear clips, and you hear him, and it's like he sounds so good nowadays compared to a few years ago.
This is good?
This is
very good.
Night and day better than him at his worst right now.
Get me that video,
And it's bad right
please. I didn't think I would be saying this sentence. Please get me the video from that bare knuckle. I'm going to call it a press conference. I'm not sure. It's sort of just, it's not a press conference. It's
There's a
video.
pre-fight in the squared circle, Dan.
Yeah, and I want to get to this because Arlovsky's been doing this for a while. How old is he? How old?
Arlovsky's got to be 42, 43. He's
Okay.
fighting on the Netflix card, by the way. I don't know if you saw
Dan
that.
Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky?
No,
I thought
Andre
Dan
Arlovsky.
Orlovsky.
No.
My mind went right
The
there.
quarterback?
I think this Arlovsky is older than that Arlovsky. Do I have it right? This fighting Arlovsky is older than Dan.
47.
Okay, yeah. He has been somebody who has been muscular and feared in the combat sports for a long, long time. And this, as they start a new venture, a bare knuckle venture, which seems unsafe, seems dystopian, seems really dangerous in a way that's uncommonly dangerous.
You could say that, but, we fight on.
Well, bare knuckle sports, there's a reason there's padding on boxing gloves. Like, there's reason that all of that is in play. It's hard enough as a sport, and the brain chemistry gets rattled enough going, the brain moving through the liquid protective buffer.
Some would say that the knuckles, bare knuckle, is actually more humane.
That's right. Okay, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is bare knuckle fighting more humane than having cushions, tender cushions on your fist?
That's often cited. And then you watch the fights, and they're absolute bloodbaths, which is hard to, put those two things together because it looks worse.
But it's not.
But it's safer for the brain.
Okay, but this particular conflict amid the conflict is pretty funny.
Any words for Perdomo?
In Russia, Perdomo means f***ing fart from the ass. So he f***ing smell. Can you f***ing keep him away?
Hey, dice,
mal, pero cede el control, porque tiene miedo el grandulón este. Relax, grandpa. Hey, hola, abuelito.
I do not like translations in sports for that reason. They always clean up the translations and make it different than what was actually said. Arlovsky said that his mouth smelled like farts from an ass, and that's not how it was translated in Spanish.
That's right, because our Spanish speaker, our Cuban guy who's translating, is taking care of the Hispanic guy, Dan. That's exactly what he's doing.
Makes
That's
him
what
a great translator because he's taken liberties to put his own little spin on it. And also, he didn't need to translate relax grandpa. Orlovsky definitely understood that part, but for the audience, he cleaned it up.
You know about that fart from the ass?
Guys, DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting.
DraftKings doesn't want that as the ending.
Oh, they do, Dano. The #1 sportsbook for live betting is built for March. The tournament is unpredictable, but the rewards are guaranteed. And DraftKings Sportsbook delivering some of the most generous rewards in the market. New to DraftKings, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Dan. That's code Dan to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.